Welcome to part 2 of my Christmas decorating. This past weekend we went on a family vacation to an off-grid cabin, and I found this to be so inspirational, and I got so many ideas of how I could bring that sort of rustic cabin charm into my farmhouse. So in today's video, I am going to be cleaning, organizing, decluttering, and decorating this farmhouse for Christmas. I'm pretty much using things I already have. There's a few purchased items, but for the most part, I'm just sort of displaying collections of things that I've had tucked away and moving things around and using what I have around here. So it's low cost, low budget, but a huge transformation in the end, I feel like. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Before we get started with any decorating, I want to show you some footage of the cozy cabin that we stayed in. One of the things that I really want to recreate is the ambient lighting with the fireplace and these propane lights. It was just so magical feeling. If you haven't seen my last video, I'll put a card and a link. In that video, I made all the food for our trip. This was the upstairs loft, and there was a king-sized bed and a single bed up here, as well as a little crib for a baby. And of course, you can't recreate these architectural features in your own home, but it was just so beautiful. And then here is sort of an outdoor enclosed porch, which we didn't really use, but would have been great during the summer months. Being at this cabin just ignited a creative spark in me that has been burning ever since. Here's the outhouse, and I actually loved this outhouse. I loved that painting of that woman. And then there was also a private outdoor sauna. This was just incredible. And we definitely enjoyed the use of the sauna, and it was also great that we could bring the dogs with us on this vacation. And so once I got back home, I just wanted to recreate sort of the feeling that we had on this trip. Getting back home, the kitten had really gotten into our fake tree that I've had for 5 years, and I just have really been wanting a different tree, and I decided to take this tree down. I found this beautiful cast iron tree stand at the thrift store for $15, and going on a walk on our property, there was a lot of little trees that are now big enough to cut down as Christmas trees. So I decided that that's what we were going to do. I wish that I would have gotten some footage of my before living room, because I reconfigured the whole thing during this process. But I didn't have the foresight because I really didn't know what I was going to do during this video. I just knew that I wanted to follow my inspiration. The cat really could not stay out of that tree. It was horrible. And I ended up taking it to the thrift store because someone else will get some use out of it. And then my husband and I went scouting for a tree and found the perfect tree. And what I had been wanting for several years was a fake tree that was a lot skinnier than the fake tree I had. I don't know why, but I had never even considered cutting down a real tree on the property. It just didn't really cross my mind. And I think the reason is that these trees were all much smaller a couple of years ago. I couldn't be more happy with this decision. And there's honestly so many trees out there that I will never have to buy another fake tree as long as we live here. I loved the wispy branches on this tree. It just felt so magical to me. But unfortunately, my daughter came and found the scissors and cut some of those wispies off. But this tree is just perfect. It's skinny, it's tall, it's exactly what I wanted. And the best part about it is that the cat can't climb these branches, so he's completely stayed out of this tree. And he was really sad to see the other tree go, let me tell you. We had to cut that top part off. And this tree just has sort of that rustic cabin feel that I'm going for. This was right after we got back from our trip. And honestly, I think this tree helped spark my creativity when it came to changing over the whole rest of the house. You can see in this shot that my couch is covering our fireplace. And this is something I really, really wanted to change because it's been bothering me so much. But because of where our TV was, it's just such an odd-shaped living room. And I really wanted to reconfigure everything so that it felt better. So I moved the furniture around and I didn't get that part on camera. But I wanted to open the fireplace back up because even though this fireplace doesn't work, the ambiance of that wood stove in the cabin was just so soothing. And my idea was to put the TV at the top of this fireplace, even though I really didn't really want to do that either. The TV was the biggest problem. And what we ended up doing was putting it down below because the sort of doors to this fireplace are black and the TV is black, so it just kind of melded into the same look. I would have loved to have had a big, nice outdoor kind of scene to put on top of this fireplace. But I swapped out the mirror that was there for the picture that was in my dining room. And I just, I didn't want to go spend a bunch of money. And sometimes just moving things around can give you a fresh feel to your space. This place has just been sort of untouched all summer. I haven't had time to do any deep cleaning. And tackling this glass cabinet was the next thing that I really wanted to do. So I started with just cleaning it and thinking about what I wanted to do. And then I brought some of my vintage cookbooks from my collection over here because I thought it would be nice to have these closer to the kitchen, just so that I would probably look at them more often. And then I just decided that it was high time to just take everything out of this cabinet and redo the whole thing. This is a bit of a before. I had some vintage items in there, but also mason jars and just a mismatch of different things. And I decided to pull more of my cookbooks from this bookshelf on our fireplace, which is where they were, and bring them into the kitchen space. And I just love this idea because I really love my cookbook collection. It's really dear to me, and to have it closer and more visible is going to be a lot better for me in terms of just looking at them and my creativity in the kitchen. You're going to see the after now because I did this off camera because I was really in the creative zone. I brought a bunch of my vintage kitchen items that I've been collecting over here and just presented them with my cookbooks. I've got a double boiler here that I bought, and just a bunch of really cool vintage cookware that I have to kind of display with my vintage cookbooks. I had so much fun doing this, and I also brought my canisters over here for my flour, oats, and sugar. And this just was so inspiring to me. I don't do a lot of vignette type things, but it was so much fun. And then I decided that I needed to tackle the bookcase next because now that I took so many of my cookbooks out of here, I wanted to change this up and turn this into a little gaming display because one of the things about being in the cabin was having board games and puzzles around, which really, when you're off-grid and you don't have internet, you're more likely to play those types of things. And we have a whole collection of games that we like playing, but because they're not displayed, we don't really think about playing them. Displaying board games and puzzles is definitely a way you can bring that cabin charm into your home. This definitely required some dusting and cleaning, and it just felt good to start off with an empty space. And the other thing I wanted to display in here was some of my son's collection of books because, like me, he likes old books. And he brought some of his books into the living room, and they didn't really have a home, so it was kind of bothering me. But I thought it would be nice to display some of his books to just make it feel more inclusive as a family space and not just display my items. Some of our favorite games are the Settlers of Catan series. We've got a bunch of those. And my husband got this newer game, I think it's called Agricola, and he wants to play that, but we haven't played it yet. And then one of our absolute favorite games is Dutch Blitz. It's a card game, it's super fast, very addictive, and we've played it a lot with my brothers and different people. So this is what I've got for now. I might change things, but I also wanted to show you the mess that I have going on over here because this is real life, and I sent a bunch of stuff off to the thrift store already, and I really have so much clutter that I need to go through. The next thing I had in mind was creating another little vignette in my kitchen, and I really want to display more of my baking items that I have that are vintage because I want to sort of feel inspired for the season in terms of baking, and I've got some things that I specifically wanted to display. I have a set of vintage tart tins as well as muffin tins, and I really want to display those because tarts is something that my mom makes every year at Christmas time, and I just thought it would be really inviting to see it there. And then I also have this nice mixing bowl that I thought could go in here, and I've got a canister that has the rest of my cookie cutter collection. Just seeing this every day, I know is going to make me feel excited about Christmas baking. In my first decorating video that I started with, my husband and I did some foraging on the property, and so I've got a bunch of branches to play around with. And these cookie cutters are just so darling, and I just love them. I just kept playing around and tweaking things until it felt right. And I don't have any decorating secrets. I'm definitely not an expert, but I wanted to show off some of the things that I love that I've collected. And I feel like our homes are so personal to who we are, and it really doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It really just matters if you enjoy what you're doing. I'm measuring this window with some string because I really want to make some garlands for my windows. I've got a bunch of greenery that we collected here, and I really want to do this again. I did it last year, and it just created such a cozy winter vibe. This is actually very easy to do, and I actually figured this out from watching another YouTube channel that I love, Forgotten Way Farms. They have a whole tutorial on how to do this, so I'll put that down in my description for you. This is a very inexpensive project. You just need wire and string. When I did this last year, I bought some outdoor command hooks, and those things are really strong, and I've just kept them up knowing that I would do this again, so they've just been already there above my windows waiting. I also had this fake wreath that I've had for a while, and I put it on the door there. I later decided to take it off because it just felt too heavy. And adding the garland to the window is beautiful, but it also does bring a little bit of a heavy feeling. So you really need to be careful and keep other things around it light. These are the dried oranges that I made in my last decorating video, and I decided to do sort of a dried orange garland. And I also bought some fairy lights to include in my garland. Unfortunately, one of the sets was a cool white. Not sure I like that. I might switch that out. I'm still unsure as to whether this is all just too much for this garland. I might change it. I'm still not sure. I'm living with it for a bit. I really do want to switch out though the cool lights. Here's my living room setup in the dark, and I'm starting to feel these cozy cabin vibes that I'm wanting, especially with more ambient lighting with the candles and the fairy lights. And it's just starting to feel a little bit more magical, and I'm really digging it. This is another area that I really wanted to tackle and just get rid of all of this stuff that's just been hanging there and replace it with our snowshoes, which I feel definitely gives a cabin vibe to the home and is definitely inviting for you to spend more time outdoors. And that was one of the special things about being at the off-grid cabin, was there were snowshoes and things that kind of gave you that invite to head outdoors and go check out the trails. As I was downstairs, I found a set of Christmas lights and I just brought them here to test them out. But it's definitely a no-go and I'm definitely switching this out for a garland. This little bookshelf in our entrance area, I kind of put this piece of wood on top because it's got sort of this cavity on top that just ends up being sort of a junk collection space. And so I wanted to make this look more inviting. I had this plaid scarf that I thought I would drape here. And then I brought a lamp from my bedroom and brought that over here for some ambient lighting so that we could avoid using the overhead lights. And I brought some outdoorsy kind of books over here. And I might try to make this even more than what it is now. But I really liked having this collection of books here, all about plants and trees and rocks. And then I also have this Rocky Mountain cooking cookbook, which definitely suits the off-grid cabin look that I'm going for. My dad bought me this wooden plaque for my birthday and I found a home for it. And then because the cat couldn't get into this tree, the branches just aren't strong enough for him to climb, I decided that I would bring out some of my glass ornaments that I didn't think I would be able to use and stuck these on the tree. He was very interested in them, but he couldn't quite get to them. Bruno, our dog, is guarding the tree from the cat, and he knows he's not allowed in there, so he's making darn sure that he doesn't get near the tree. I also decided to decorate on the mantle here with some of the hawthorn berries we collected and some of the different branches. And you know, nothing is set in stone and things can always be moved and changed. But just trying new things is fun and feels very creative. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. Here is a finished look at what I've created and how it is decorated so far. I still need to put a garland on top of the other window, but I'm really loving my cozy cabin vibe in my farmhouse. I really love the layout of the living room now, and I love that we're facing the fireplace again. I feel like this is farmhouse meets rustic cabin, and I'm just using what I already own. I'm not going out and buying a bunch of things. And so this is the best I can do with what I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm gonna leave some ideas down in my description of how you can turn your space into a cozy cabin retreat. So look down there for some inspiration. And thanks so much for joining me today. If you're new here, I share videos every single week on homemaking, food from scratch, and life on our farm.